Welcome to Nerds in the Dark. I'm Mikey.
Right now, so
And today we're going to talk about The Boys. The show, not the comic. We'll talk about the comic later. So this show just premiered on
Friday.
Yeah. Amazon Prime. And mixed feelings?
Little mixed feelings.
Little mixed feelings. We are both huge fans of The Boys comic. And we're also not people who normally hate things for being different from the comic.
Yeah.
Normally, we're not like super fanboys that say, hey, it had to be like this. But there's some changes that happen.
That kind of throw off the flow of what you wanted.
Yeah.
Or we wanted, at least.
Yeah, it's not to say that like certain things needed to be there, but by taking away or removing some of these aspects, it changes the dynamic of the show, and it makes it a bit of a different type of interaction between a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
I guess are we going to do a spoiler-free this, or is this going to be with spoilers? Because I think it's kind of hard to say what we liked and didn't like without...
Like, limited fucking spoilers. Like, so not all the good details.
Alright, limited spoilers.
Limited spoilers, incoming spoiler warning. Okay.
Alright, so listen. At the very beginning of The Boys, which is also the very beginning of the comic of The Boys, technically issue 3, we have an issue where there is there's a scene that involves some sexual harassment in the workplace.
And in the comics, it's a little more gruesome.
Yes, it's actually a lot more involved in the comics, and so this scene doesn't need to play out entirely. I'm not saying that like, hey, we needed to see all of this scene. However, there are some differences that change pretty much the entire run of the show because of it.
Yeah.
So Starlight in the show is propositioned by the Deep. And so where this comes into play is that, later on, she speaks out, the Deep gets punished, things like that happen. Again, not going to go heavy into spoilers. But it basically the entire time she ends up hating the Deep for what he's done. Where this is different is that in the comic, she's propositioned originally by Homelander. And then when she tries to escape, she's then cornered by A-Train and Black Noir. So the three of them together assault her. Where this creates a difference in the dynamic is that she then resents the entire team and is then distrustful of the entire team. Because 3 of the 7 members, or 3 of the other 6, half of the remaining team have assaulted her. And then the only other woman after that then verbally assaults her. Yeah. Which means that she's now an outcast. So where this comes into play as a difference with the show is that later on, when her allegiance is being questioned, she fights really hard to be on the team, and she fights really hard to stay there. I think that this creates a different dynamic in the show because having one assaulter versus an entire team. If the entire team had assaulted her, she'd be really willing to change her mind a lot faster about where her allegiances lie and all of this stuff. And she wouldn't sit here being like, oh, well, I guess maybe they're still good. Because in her eyes, as far as the show is concerned, in her eyes, Homelander has done nothing evil.
Yeah. And so everybody's good and just like, oh.
So that's the big secret so far, is that Homelander, thus far, everything he's done has been behind the scenes. Which, again, creates an entirely different dynamic for the show.
Yeah.
What
else? I didn't like how they handled Compound V, the boys. Like, I like the conspiracy theory part. It's like, okay, that works, but in the comics, the boys already knew what Compound V was,
right.
And in the show, it's like they were surprised. I'm like, no, the whole point of the boys, they knew all this shit, and they just couldn't prove it to the fucking the government to take action on these motherfuckers.
I mean, I also like that the boys not only knew about Compound V, but also had their own modified version.
Yeah.
So
they could at least fight.
Right.
A little
this
bit.
Is where it creates a different dynamic again in the show, is that they're sitting there. The entire beginning of the show runs on whether or not they can actually take on Supes.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because in the comic they already have the answer to that. They already take on Supes on a regular basis. They just needed government approval to do so.
Yeah.
So now it goes from okay, how can we do this? Can we figure out a way? I mean, I guess we killed one, but maybe we can kill others down the line. They have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they also they're not looking for government approval. They're looking for government support.
Yeah.
And so again, this isn't bad. It's not bad. It just changes the entire dynamic of the show. And I think that being a fan of this show hinders your ability to enjoy it as a part of a collective. When you take in everything that you already know and expect to happen, you end up enjoying it less. I think if you watch this show on its own with no prior knowledge, I think you would enjoy this show. I think there's a lot of things in the show that make sense as a show, and I think that some of the changes they made that update and modernize this also make sense. Because The Boys is probably, I want to say it's like 10, maybe 11 years old.
Yeah.
So
didn't it take place like kind of like in the early 90s ish technically?
Yeah, so some of the things that like we rely on a daily basis, we look at modern technology as it stands now, social media, Twitter, Snapchat, things like that. They incorporate that into the show because like it would make sense. It's taking place now, and so some of the ways that they modernize how they do surveillance, how they interact with each other, and how they have videos, and they incorporated tweets as part of like attacks on Starlight's character. It kind of worked.
Yeah.
I think that this show in and of itself is good. I think if you look at this show in contrast to the comic, you might have a problem, as it seems that we both did.
Yeah, like I feel like a few little tweaks, it could have been way better and like a better feel for the show. I kind of feel like they kind of rushed it.
Yeah.
And they should, it could have been like what? It's 8 episodes, or it should have been like maybe like 9 or 10 episodes, especially since there's a possibility for season 2.
There were some big like jumps that they did. They cut some corners, and again, this goes down to changing the dynamic of the show, right?
Yeah.
This becomes about them, doing their investigations and trying to figure out, what they can do to get evidence to have the government say, "Hey, no, you can't do this." Versus their own thing is like, "Hey, we need to smack supers when they get out of line." If you want to smack supers when they get out of line, how are you smacking them? What do you have to smack them? Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe next season they get their hands on Compound V and like use it, because it was one of the first things when they found it. Is like Frenchie's was like, I don't know what it does until we try it. He's like, until I try some, and I was just like, okay, well maybe we're gonna have this like opportunity. Right now they have one. They have one person who is a super who was injected with Compound V, and it's just like, but she's also the mute. So the female of the species, who I just think is dope in general.
Yeah.
But like, she's just strong, and they don't have a reason why, and they don't know. They're like, well, I guess she was gonna be a terrorist, and it's just like, it just changes the entire show.
Well, they don't really do a back history on the girl, but the thing is, like, they do have a back history on MM.
Yeah.
And it's different now since they completely clueless to Compound V. So I was like, that was kind of also the reason, like, he did it, and like y'all had this mystery reason why he's doing it. It was like, no, that was kind of his fucking thing. I was like, I'm because this fucking company fucked me over this and the legal shit. They still got the legal shit, but it's like, one of the members of the boys was caused by the illegal shit versus, or at least 2 of the members were caused by the illegal shit. Now it's just like one, and they kind of like vaguely tell you what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, it just ends up the show is just completely different from the comic, as a result of some of the changes. And again, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but like just minor tweaks, like would have changed the thing. Yep. And I don't feel like they did Maeve as good as she could have been, because I think of as that drunken, reckless piece of shit, and because she's seen a lot of fucked up shit, and she hasn't felt like that.
I do. Okay, so I actually kind of liked Maeve in this.
Okay.
I feel that Maeve in the comics was underexplored.
Okay.
Because I think that she was pretty one note in that she was just like a drunk piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like that was her thing, but that was all of her thing, and she was like bad to everybody, whatever. But I think if you have like Maeve in this one, you can tell that there's extra shit going on. So like that she's feeling some certain type of way. You can tell that she's struggling with everything that Homelander does. That she doesn't want to be around Homelander, but she's also terrified of him, same as everyone else. But she's also the only one who thinks that she can control him outside of Stillwell.
Yeah.
So I think that her character leaves more to be explored in the show, but also they explore more of her character than they do in the comics. So I think Maeve's a win.
Okay.
I do also think that the Deep was a one-note character in the comic.
Yeah.
I
don't like the way they did him though. Kind of. I like that he's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But also that he feels like a rip-off fucking like a joke of Aquaman. Whatever.
So he kind of is. But he also was in the comic too.
Yeah.
Right. So all right. So here's where I have my thing with the Deep, that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the Deep right now. In that, as a character, he's completely different from what he was in the comic, and he does things that he didn't do in the comic. So it's kind of one of those situations where you're kind of like, whatever, and then he starts going through like the punishments, right, and just everything involved with him, exploring his insecurities, having the problems of he talks to fish, and so he understands like sea creatures, but that doesn't always work out for him in good ways. And then he faces his own situation that he puts someone else in. He finds himself in the receiving end of that, and you can see changes for his character going on. And I think that if they explored him even more in the next season, I think that he would have a really, really good arc. Right now, it's kind of like this, he's dealing with the fall that he caused himself. But I think that they're going to do something good with him, and I hope they do. But they've planted the seeds for everything for him to succeed right now. I think as a character.
Yeah, I feel that.
Well, I mean, we got to talk about the visuals.
Oh yes, the visuals. I did like the fucking the deaths.
Yeah.
Were dope.
Yeah.
And it was it set a tone and kind of gave you a vibe for them, because it did touch on the D-listers and other fucking things that were in the comics. How it shows recklessness without being too gruesome. Also, for some reason, people were fucking wondering this is not something you show kids. I don't know. If you read the comic books, you definitely know you shouldn't show this to fucking kids. So
yeah, that was a weird thing. Is people were just this is not for kids, and it's no. Who told you that? Who told you your kids could watch this? Because that is not.
No, this is not Batman or Superman.
No.
This is not a family-friendly show. This is
it's definitely
it's on the gruesome end.
Yeah.
My favorite type of comics, but not something I'm gonna take my nephew. Let's go watch this show together.
No. Don't bring your kids. Don't bring your kids. Don't bring your kids. All right. So visually, I mean, I kind of give this this is it obviously TV show budget, but 10 out of 10 on what you did. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's fucking solid because the fights, the flying, all those
costumes.
Things. Oh yeah,
the costumes were dope. Queen Maeve looks like she looks like a discount Wonder Woman or Xena. Yes, but
it works. It's it doesn't
all of it
look
looks
cheap.
Natural.
Yeah, it doesn't look cheap or anything, and I'm I like that. They're obviously all the superheroes are rip-offs of somebody else.
Sure.
But they don't come off cheapish looking it, and I'm okay, cool. It's probably also why they changed the costume of whatchamacallit.
Of the Deep.
Yeah, of the Deep.
Yeah.
Although I kind of did want to see the corny, fucking stupid, fucking 1950s fucking scuba diver outfit thing.
That old ass scuba gear. No, that was funny. Black Noir just being like super creepy while having no facial expressions. That was good. That was
yes. I kind of wish they played a little more on his creepiness because in the comics he does some weird creepy things, and it's like, and it kind of set that also thing that sets a tone because it happens to one of the characters, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I should say anything now because like that was weird, but also I don't want to admit that just happened.
Yeah,
and so it's like,
you know what was really interesting on the creep side? All right, so Homelander staring at his own photo, right?
Yeah.
But he's really staring at Stillwell.
Yeah.
So that was a weird one for me because, like, on the one hand, he just looks like he's staring at his own photo. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not creepily staring through the wall at this person, but it's just like, you're staring at your own photo, though. You're not really better.
Yeah.
You're just like,
I'm
and just a picture of yourself.
It's one thing to do in your own private room and you were staring at yourself. It was like he's just standing in the middle of a hallway. It was like, yeah.
That's why I like Starlight's kind of interaction with him. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
It wasn't better. It wasn't better. It was just a different kind of weird.
Yeah.
But no, I think that they handled a lot of things that they did change. They did handle it well. I think that the show, in and of itself, stands. I mean, if I graded this show for the show,
Oh yeah,
I'd probably say 7.5, 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it a solid 7 because like I still enjoyed it. It's just like, oh, I kind of wanted to see like this slightly thing done different. It was like, you know,
Oh yeah. You know what I also like that we didn't touch on yet?
What's up?
Fucking music.
There was some solid music in this show. Like,
Solid music throughout the whole thing.
I don't like production companies lately like putting on their A game with like putting like solid music and things and setting the tone, setting the vibe.
Yeah.
Because that scene with Frenchie and the girl, I was like, man, y'all don't play with this shit.
Yeah.
Y'all
No, they were really good. You know what I missed?
What?
All right, so you see that episode where it's like episode 2 where Huey gets blindsided by I already forgot his name.
Oh,
Translucent, yeah. So he gets blindsided by Translucent, and Butcher runs him over with a car, gets out with a crowbar, he starts fighting him, right?
Oh, the Invisible Man fight?
Yeah, the Invisible Man fight. So that was a good fight. I loved everything there. So there's that one point where Butcher's getting his ass kicked, right? And dude grabs both of Butcher's arms. And Butcher has that bloody mouth smile before he does some crazy shit, like headbutts the guy.
Yeah.
So that bloody-faced Butcher smile is so common in the comics. Like, it happens all the time because they get so... They're in the trenches all the time, and they're constantly getting in a fight.
Butcher just loves it.
Butcher loves it. It's great because it's his
He's
revenge, right? Yeah. It's his revenge on Supes. That only happens once in the show, because they only fight Supes once in the show.
Yeah,
you know.
But it also I feel like they really he's the one character I think is 100% right. Like, accurate. Like, I feel like, okay, cool, they just ripped him out of the comic book, put him in the thing, and it just works perfectly. I was like, I like everything about him. I don't have any complaints about him.
I have complaints about
him. Okay.
No, I mean, I love them. I just think that, like, you know, his thing is that I don't think that, like, I think he is too, like, laser focused on killing the Supes. You know, he's missing the forest for the trees, which I think is opposite Butcher because, like, I think for a lot of, like, what we see in Butcher, even though he loves getting into fights, the dude's got a plan for a plan for a plan, and because of his laser focus on the Supes here, he looks like he's constantly like, oh shit, I gotta go to a plan B, but I don't have a plan B yet.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I think that's a big change to his character, you know.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Well, I mean, like, you have instances in the comics where, like, you know, people like they have a plan and everybody else has a plan, and the plan goes fucking sideways, and then Butcher's off waiting with his plan C and just runs over the guy. Like, nobody knew that was part of the plan, but it was just like, yeah, no, he's like, I figured he'd do this too.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things that was just like, this is it's not bad, it's not stupid, it's just different. But I think that's it. So I mean, I don't think we should judge comics. I don't think we should judge shows against the comics. So if I was judging it against a comic, it'd be a much lower score. But yeah, for me, 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. But I also want to say, I like that Simon Pegg was up in the show. And I felt like he should have been Huey, but
I think he's too old to be Huey now.
Yeah.
To be like too old to be like.
Yeah. After I finished watching, I'm like, okay, cool, y'all kind of on the younger tip versus like everybody's like in the older tip.
Yeah.
I'm like, at the same time, but I like that he was in there because like
having him in there and having him say his lines, because like I don't know if you guys know, and you can't tell me if you knew, but Huey in the comics is based off of Simon Pegg. The artist actually asked for Simon Pegg's permission to base him off of them, and then so he's got several catchphrases in the comics, and so when he's surprised, he says things like "Jings."
Yeah.
And then in the show, you see Simon Pegg freak out about something, and he goes, "Jings, Huey." And it was kind of like, it was like, oh, that's a little nod, and I kind of like it, so it was cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's our score, that's our review of The Boys. Thank you for watching, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Nerds in the Dark.
Yep.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you like what you see, please let us know somewhere on the internet. If you'd like to keep up to date with Nerds in the Dark content, please subscribe. If you want to watch more videos, please click or tap on the left. If you'd like to see one of our more recent videos, click or tap the video on the right. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time on Nerds in the Dark.